This is the DAR Today podcast, and I'm your host, Brooke Bullmaster Stewart. Well, as we continue in July, going over the many things from our recent Continental Congress, we're reminded of the incredible ways that DAR recognizes those in our community for the significant work they're doing. These continually touch on our core missions in DAR, the first being historic preservation, recognizing those people and groups that are working not only to preserve physical American history objects, but those who are continuing to tell the story of our American history, which ties in with the second mission of education for these same reasons. And then the last of these three core missions of the DAR, patriotism, inspiring the love and respect for our nation. So many things we do in DAR touch on all of these core missions. Isn't it neat how these things work together? Well, before we talk about our episode today, I want to remind you of something interesting. Tonight, if you're listening to this episode on its premiere date, is the full buck moon and occurs on Monday, July 22nd. The full moon in July is called the buck moon because the antlers of male deer or bucks are in full growth mode at this time. Bucks shed and regrow their antlers each year, as you probably know, producing a larger and more impressive set as the years go by. Other names for this moon in July, the feather molting moon, the Cree Indians recognize it as such, and the salmon moon, a term of the Tlingit people, indicating when fish return to the area and were ready to be harvested. Kind of interesting. So, for this episode, we want to touch on some of the key speeches given at Congress this year. We wish we could play the entirety of each one, but quick snippets will have to do today. We hope you enjoyed them as much as we did. If there is one you were particularly moved by or drawn to, you're encouraged to go back and watch the live broadcasts of each evening session. And because we love our amazing and incredible President General Pamela Edwards Rouse Wright, let's start with her, talking about one of our key goals during her administration.
In every era, we can all choose to make a positive difference in our world. As Teddy Roosevelt said, quote, "Do what you can with what you have where you are," end quote. Renovating and restoring Memorial Continental Hall, the only memorial to the American Revolution in Washington, D.C., is our choice today. This distinguished monument to our patriot ancestors honors the men and women who gave of themselves, risking reputation, family ties, and even their very lives to secure our independence. Recognizing that our House Beautiful is more than just a building, it is a place that created memories and shares stories. Our campaign to restore Memorial Continental Hall is aptly called If These Walls Could Talk.
We'll have a link to that video entitled If These Walls Could Talk in our show notes. It really does help us understand why this fundraising is needed at this time. Well, next we'll have our American History Essay Award winners. Oh, these young people were all fantastic and so much fun to have there on our big stage at Constitution Hall. There were some nerves, but they all did such a great job. First, let's hear from dear Mehrotra from Georgia, the 6th grade winner of the American History Essay Contest.
I enjoyed this year's prompt about our national march, The Stars and Stripes Forever. Written and composed by John Philip Sousa, the subject of the prompt really spoke to me as a first-year band student in my school. Sousa would have just been a name in my bandbook sheet music had it not been for this prompt. Additionally, this prompt inspired and motivated me to create a multimedia presentation about the Stars and Stripes Forever for the Georgia Student Technology Competition, which won first place in the state in its category. As I share...
Next up is Jack Nerenberg, the 7th grade winner of the essay contest.
I would like to thank a few people tonight. My parents, who have always been supportive of me and my passions. My teacher, Melissa Costello, who has given me the one of the best things that one can give towards art, criticism. And, of course, the DAR, for choosing my essay and giving me these opportunities. Last night, May 14th, 1897, I got the amazing opportunity to witness the first ever public performance of The Stars and Stripes Forever. This piece has already been deemed the future national anthem of the United States by many, including myself. Seeing the flag waving as the band played truly filled my heart with thoughts of the American values of patriotism and freedom.
The last of our just delightful American History Essay Contest winners is 8th grader Ananya Mandrekar from New Jersey.
I am truly honored to be standing here tonight as the 8th grade national winner. I would also like to thank the Morristown chapter and the New Jersey DAR for always supporting me through this wonderful journey. This essay contest has been one of the most valuable learning experiences for me, and I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to participate. Now, I would like to share the following excerpt of my essay. The Stars and Stripes Forever, the March King's New Star Piece. After a long journey away from home, John Philip Sousa, more commonly known as the March King, is back with a new symphony. When asked about what inspired him to compose Stars and Stripes Forever, Sousa replied, "On board the steamer, as I walked miles up and down the deck, back and forth, a mental band was playing Stars and Stripes Forever. Day after day as I walked, it persisted in crashing into my very soul." After the performance, I had the opportunity to speak with the band's clarinetist, Albert Gustav. He has enjoyed his position in the Sousa band, among the very best musicians in the world. He described the song by saying, "I get goosebumps just from the opening notes. I almost wept with joy after witnessing the crowd's reactions. Stars and Stripes Forever captures the spirit of America, strength, energy, and beauty."
You might remember that we had the student Hensika Lenkala on our podcast last year as the national winner of the Patriots of the American Revolution DAR essay contest. And wow, Miss Lenkala won again this year. Just incredible. For the sake of time today, we'll encourage you to see her speech on the live broadcast. But next, let's hear from the DAR Good Citizen National winner, Christina Gogzheyan.
When I was 11, my grandma Ophelia developed brain cancer. As I spent time with her, she told me stories about her life, including the events of the 1988 Armenian-Azerbaijan conflict. Listening to how her family was violently forced to flee from their home truly shocked me. I tried to imagine how difficult it must have been to leave everything they knew behind and come to America as refugees, not speaking a word of English and not having a dime to spend. Learning about the hardships my family overcame and witnessing their immigration process taught me to appreciate my country. It made me realize how fortunate I am to be born in America. The violence my family endured opened my eyes to a world that I am thankful I never had to experience. Their journeys not only taught me bravery, resilience, and perseverance, but also compassion, empathy, and kindness. My family's experiences and values shaped me into the person I am today. Because of my family, I have grown up to be a strong leader, a patriot of my country, and ultimately, a good citizen.
And where would our students be without the mentorship and teaching of our teachers of American history? This year, we recognized Lois MacMillan from Grants Pass, Oregon.
Scholarship on the American Revolution is richer and more inspiring today than ever before. We are learning fresh perspectives about people we've always known, people who have been previously marginalized, and people who have been invisible to our history. For example, we have learned recently about the complicated story of Liz, an enslaved woman from New York City who escaped enslavement by running to British lines, yet ended up being the key woman spy in the George Washington Culpeper spy ring. Although Liz was denied her liberty, she quietly aided our independence from Great Britain. I am grateful for the courage of women like Liz, as well as other women of the past like Abigail Adams and Phyllis Wheatley, who were painted on my dress by Janet Higgins, a local artist and dear friend from my hometown, Grants Pass, Oregon. Abigail Adams and Phyllis Wheatley, two of our founders, represented and embraced the classical virtues.
Every year during Continental Congress, we have the treat of hearing from our all-American DAR chorus, made up of singers from all around the globe. And this year was just as wonderful as any we've experienced.
Each time I see your glory passing by, I get a thrill down deep inside. I love my country and fills my heart with pride. This is America, the land of the free, home of the brave and strong. Oh, my Yankee Doodle Dandy, and here is where I belong.
There were so many wonderful songs, but again, we must keep moving on. On Saturday evening, National Defense Night, we heard from our Chaplain General, Virginia Lingelbach, speaking about something that kept us all enthralled.
As Chaplain General and Executive Liaison to the Commemorative Events Committee, it was my honor to attend the 80th D-Day anniversary commemorative ceremonies in Normandy, France on June the 6th, officiated by President Joe Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron. It was also my honor to place a wreath at the statue of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander for the Normandy invasion. I have been asked to describe my most poignant memories of the commemorative ceremony. Well, certainly the missing man formation stirs one's emotions to the core. The reading of the poem, The Watch, at the conclusion of the ceremony, and the reading of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's D-Day prayer. But mostly the look on the faces of the U.S. veterans who were present, and especially those receiving honors from President Macron, who presented the highest French military honor, the French Legion of Honor Medal, to 11 U.S. veterans, all nearing or having achieved the age of 100. But my most lasting memory was not one from the ceremony. It was of the French people in the small towns surrounding Utah and Omaha beaches, their excitement and their gratitude. Although many were too young to have lived through and remembered the devastation of war, they are very much aware that those 6 years of war represented an era that shaped the world today and for the foreseeable future. But as a DAR member, I must say that my proudest moment had to be when President Biden recognized U.S. veteran Marjorie McKinney Stone. Marjorie was one of 14 veterans seated on the platform with President Biden. She is a U.S. Navy veteran and served as an aviation machinist mechanic in World War II. Marjorie is an active member of the Fort Pickens chapter, Gulf Breeze, Florida, and she will celebrate her 101st birthday on the 4th of July.
Incredible. Our President General introduced Admiral Linda Fagan, being recognized with the DAR Patriot Award, an award established following the attacks on September 11th, honoring those who provide extraordinary service to protect America's freedom.
22-year-old Singleman First Class Douglas Monroe, the Coast Guard's only Medal of Honor recipient, who during the Battle of Guadalcanal in 1942 made the ultimate sacrifice, braving heavy enemy fire in his landing craft so U.S. Marines pinned down on the beach could safely escape. Back at home, over 10,000 American women who courageously joined the U.S. Coast Guard Women's Reserve, known as the SPARS, Semper Paratus, always ready. They joined to support the war effort. Among them, Edith Monroe, Douglas Monroe's mother, who at 48 years old insisted on serving after her son's death to honor his legacy. The Coast Guard has courageously served in every major conflict our nation has fought. We trace our roots back to the earliest days of this great nation. Alexander Hamilton, who we refer to as the father of the Coast Guard, wrote in the Federalist Papers, "A few armed vessels judiciously stationed at the entrances of our ports might, at small expense, be made useful sentinels of the law." And that is exactly what we are doing today.
And then there was this special announcement by our President General.
Thank you, Admiral Fagan, for your dedication to the protection of our country. You are truly a trailblazer for all women, especially for those serving in the military. We are very pleased to announce that the National Society has donated $100,000 to the National Coast Guard Museum Association to underwrite a museum overlook area dedicated to the American Revolution.
First Vice President General Ginny Sebastian Storch then presented Colonel Allison Black, United States Air Force retired, with the Margaret Cochran Corbin Award, an award recognizing women in all branches of the military whose outstanding character, loyalty, and leadership distinguish their service. Colonel Black's story is quite remarkable, just something. I would really encourage you to read about her heroic activities. We'll put a link in the show notes for you.
I don't feel worthy of this award, but I know I'm with great company amongst this hall and folks that have just leaned in and have not been afraid to fail. Thank you so much to the DAR for being as invested as you are and impacting so many. As daughters, your dedication to preserving our heritage and inspiring the next generation is unmatched.
Colonel Maria Bruton, Chief Nursing Officer at Brooke Army Medical Center in Texas, was recognized for her work by receiving the Dr. Anita Newcomb McGee Award for Army Nurse of the Year. Such a moving speech by Colonel Bruton, where she struggled through her tears to tell a bit of her story. The moment her speech was done, all in the hall could hardly contain themselves as they jumped to their feet in applause. It was just incredible.
I am honored and humbled to receive the Army Nurse of the Year Award. I believe that if Dr. Anita Newcomb McGee were alive today, she would be proud of the Army Nurse Corps officer serving and of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Today's Army Nurse Corps officers are leaders who epitomize selfless service, honor, integrity, patriotism, and are part of American history as we provide expert nursing care to our nation's heroes and their families in all aspects of military Army operations. Almost 2 years ago, my family experienced the most tragic loss of our lives when our younger son Thurston passed away. My role as an Army Nurse Corps officer, Army Nurse Corps leader, gave me purpose. My friends that became family gave us love, and support to heal. And I am hopeful that I inspire them to have the courage to remain resilient and to keep moving forward. Thank you for this recognition. I am committed to continued service as a patriot of this magnificent nation through my leadership as an Army Nurse Corps officer. Proud to serve.
Now, we mentioned her last week, but we just have to play some of the speech given by Elsie Van Beek, the South Dakota sophomore, presented with the Outstanding Youth Volunteer Award. She was so delightful.
My role as the patriotic princess for Midwest Honor Flight was to greet the veterans off of the plane and to give them a special commemorative dog tag. I want to share how Elsie Honors came to be. I had the privilege to welcome home these veterans coming off the plane, but I never really got to hear many of their stories. I wanted to go on a flight so I could hear the veterans' stories and experience their memorials with them, as well as bond with them along the way. Even though I was not officially old enough to be on one of the flights, I persistently asked my brother, the president of Midwest Honor Flight, how I could get on a flight. My brother Aaron said, raise $50,000 and you can go on a flight and sponsor it. He said, I'll even put your name on it. He never in a million years thought I would actually do it. Me, being the competitive little sister I am, of course I took him up on that challenge and said, game on.
And we all loved it. Mrs. Wright had this to say to Elsie after that speech.
And I have to say, I will never welcome an honor flight again without thinking of you, my love. So.
And then on to our DAR Outstanding Service for Veterans Award winner, Barbara Grant, a member of the Eagle, Idaho DAR chapter, for her wonderful and inspiring work with our nation's veterans.
Ask yourself how you can serve and love others. It's not about you. It's about what you can do today to use your gifts to serve others. Being a member of DAR provides us with such incredible opportunities to be of service. Please find your way to serve, to give back.
Our last award and speech of National Defense Night and our last recognition in today's podcast was one that, like so many we heard, gave us all a lump in our throats as the awardees struggled to say the words on their tightly clenched notes, trying to get the words of thanks out to those who have helped them on their journey. Let's hear from this year's outstanding veteran volunteer, Brigadier General Arthur G. Austin, United States Army retired, whose service from 1977 to 2014 included the Cuban refugee crisis, Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation Iraqi Freedom.
I try to adhere to my own personal mantra of honorable service after honorable discharge. However, as with most things like this, I've had help along the way. Lieutenant Colonel retired Sean Coulter, Master Sergeant retired and Silver Star recipient Francisco Morales, and sitting with them is my combat battle buddy for life, Navy Captain Chris Turnbull, and his wife Vicki. Although living miles away in Missouri, Chris has supported me from our long, hot days, hostile days in Iraq, and to being here tonight. Thank you, my friend.
We hope you have enjoyed all of these clips today. Isn't it inspiring to hear from all of these awardees? We also want to recognize the chapters that are keeping an eye out in their communities to find those deserving of such recognition. We encourage you to do the same in your chapters. As we mentioned last week, this is our mission as Daughters of the American Revolution. We leave you today with this quote by Teddy Roosevelt. We have fallen heirs to the most glorious heritage a people ever received, and each one must do his part if we wish to show that the nation is worthy of its good fortune. Well, thanks for listening and be well, dear friends. Let's celebrate the stars and stripes forever, and remember, with all of your ancestors behind you, you are the result of the love of thousands. This podcast is written and produced by our incredible team of writers and editors, and we are, as always, so grateful for President General Pamela Edwards Rouse Wright and Historian General Suzanne Heskey for their constant guidance. The National Society Daughters of the American Revolution is a nonprofit, non-political volunteer women's service organization dedicated to preserving our American history, securing the nation's future through better education, and promoting American patriotism. Members are all lineal descendants of those who supported the cause of independence in the Revolutionary War. For more information, please visit dar.org. This is the DAR Today podcast.